We're here now at Brandon Theaters watching Collide, starring Nicholas Hoult, Anthony Hopkins, Ben Kingsley. I'm gonna say this is one of those movies where it's kind of like, if you caught a preview, you'd be like, that looks interesting. If you haven't seen a preview and your buddy's like, let's go watch this movie, and you're kind of like, okay. Oh yeah, it's got Felicity Jones in it, can't forget that. Movie is a popcorn movie. By definition, it's just entertainment. There's no real hardcore story. It's a very simple, it's a heisty type of movie where you're gonna steal something and bad guy's like, I want my stuff back. And you're like, let's make a deal. No, I'm gonna do this. So it's a very traditional heist type of movie. It's definitely action-y packed. Some of the action though, it's again, like Paul Greengrass got a hold of it and is just kind of like doing this, and I'm like, why can't movies, when they do one movie like John Wick with all the action scenes in it, it's very smooth, nice, and pristine, why can't they do the same thing? I understand Hollywood does cheats and they do rigs and stuff, but you could still make it look a little bit better. Car chase scenes, absolutely there. Kind of felt sometimes I was watching a fast movie, but it's like, no, this is something different.
Going into this movie, it was the movie that I looked and saw we were watching the movie Collide this week and went, wait, which one's Collide? And then went back and said, oh yeah, I did see this trailer a while back. It just wasn't very memorable. I think this movie's going to go under the radar of a lot of people, even with big names like Nicholas Hoult, Hopkins, Kingsley. You've got big names, Felicity Jones. I still think this movie is kind of flowing under the radar. And now that I've seen it, it's probably a good thing. I didn't really care for this movie. I feel that the whole movie is counting on the fact that you get invested in Nicholas Holt's character, that his relationship with Felicity Jones means enough to you where you want to root this character on through everything he does. The thing is, as the movie went along, I kind of liked this character less and less. I kind of got to the point where I felt like he was just kind of stumbling through and getting lucky, and he really had no skill involved with pretty much anything he was doing. For a guy that kind of lives and operates in this world, it kind of seems like he's just kind of stumbling through and just going with the flow, which didn't really make any sense. Aside from one thing they reveal a little later, it just felt to me like he was kind of unprepared. And there's tons of scenes where it's like, oh, he's about to get it. Oh, no, the guy tripped or something stupid like that, and he got away. And that's kind of how it felt the whole movie. I wasn't necessarily impressed with how he was doing it and cheering for him to get away. I was kind of waiting for the next lucky moment and lucky break he got.
Collide has three major characters in it. We have the scenery-chewing Ben Kingsley, the scenery-chomping Anthony Hopkins, and putting the two of them together in this film was really, really great. It was just a joy to watch them just sort of do whatever the heck they wanted with these interesting characters that are polar opposites. They're not the main characters of the movie, however. They're fighting a proxy war with our main character right in the center, in between these two, trying to survive, trying to save the love of his life. And I have to say, he did an excellent job of keeping me engaged, keeping me interested. Normally, I'm not the type of person that is going to want to see drug lords win or gangsters or crime lords win, but I actually was rooting for this guy. The camera is often right in his face. Eyes are huge. You can see his expressions just filling up the whole movie screen, and it worked really well. I was very invested in his struggle. What helped too is we had the beautiful German setting. We got to see some incredible vehicles driving on the Autobahn at incredible speeds. We had the pulsing, driving music that normally I find a little bit grating, but actually it really got my blood pumping, really got me just feeling the driving nature of this film. There's a lot of driving, but it didn't really feel boring at all. There's a lot of car crashes. If you don't like car crashes, this is definitely not the movie to see. Collide, I think that tells you a lot of what's going to happen in this movie.
Anthony Hopkins, for me, stole the show. His acting was a bit over the top, but it was the right over the top. It wasn't like cartoony over the top. It was just kind of like, okay, this guy has a plan. He's very justifiable in what he does, and there it is. Music. I had a problem with the music. I really felt like I was watching a really big music video. Just the constant I'm not saying, oh, the music was awful, but after about 30 minutes of it, kind of like, this is really obnoxious. I feel like I'm at a rave, not really watching a movie. I understand they're trying to use that beat to do intensity or lighthearted. It wasn't working for me. It's just kind of like, eh.
The main villains, Hopkins and Kingsley, they must have offered them a lot of money, or they just wanted a break to do something easy, because both of them were just weird in this movie. Hopkins is spouting off literary quotes like he's some deep individual, which just made him look stupid to me. And then Kingsley is just way the out there. that character was just, I don't even know what they were going for there, but to be a drug lord and to be that hopped up on drugs all the time, to the point where he's jumping and pulling guns on people, doesn't seem realistic at all. It just seemed weird. The choice of characters seemed weird. And then you've got this, larger than life drug lord that's a big figure in the public eye with Anthony Hopkins, but he's like showing up at all the crime scenes. It's like, so you're secretly in the crime world, but you're gonna show up at all these shootouts and be part of it. That doesn't make any sense. And then there's a scene where there's like cops and no one's covering the back door. The movie just really frustrated me. The whole thing was written very poorly.
There is violence. It's not really gratuitous violence. It's just a lot of action, and it's really well staged, very believable. We have the lackey that almost has no lines in the film. I'm trying to even remember if he had a single line, honestly. Okay, there were some subtitle lines, so yes, he did, but he was still super memorable. The lackey with no lines was actually more interesting to me than people I've seen in movies that have dozens and dozens of lines, so he pulls it off really well. There are a few cliches, sort of your, oh, just one last job and then I'll be out of the business forever. Been there, done that a few times. The plot seems very simple, a heist gone wrong, but there's a little more to it than that, and it doesn't tell you everything up front. You learn some things later on throughout the film that keep it fresh and keep it interesting instead of feeling like you know everything within the first 20 minutes. I was very engaged with this film. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. The great performances, the great car chase sequences, the great action, the beautiful cinematography. It's a 9 out of 10 for me.
I got to the end of the movie and I kind of rolled my eyes a little bit. I normally am a sucker for that romance where you kick in with a romance and they're going after the love of their life and they've captured her and you do anything possible to get it back. I didn't buy the romance. I didn't buy the action star, and I definitely didn't buy the villains. And it ruined the movie for me. I'm gonna give this movie a 5 out of 10.
I would say see the movie. I was a little skeptical at first. It's kind of like when I saw the preview, I was like, I don't know. See the movie. It's fun. It's definitely entertaining. It's got the speed chases. It's got some gun violence. It's got some witty humor in there, here and there. If anything, go for Anthony Hopkins. Like I said, it's one of those performances just kind of like, not bad. Not bad. I give the movie a 7 out of 10 just because the story was very predictable. The music was very obnoxious to me. Shaky camera, again, I'm just kind of like, I get why you do it, but come on, let's smooth it out a little bit. Go on ahead and like this video, favorite it, subscribe to this channel by clicking subscribe. You get more reviews like this, throwbacks, unboxing videos, etc. Question for you this week: what's your favorite heist movie? Because this is a heist. I'm gonna call it a heist. Heist and or race movie. Go ahead, throw that down there in the comment section below. And remember, you heard it here at The Source.